Hi, my name's Sean Taylor. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame. And I didn't really fix my camera before I started. Hi, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Avatar: The Last Podcasters. Chris, how are you? How you been?
I am good and tired. Just just came back from a work trip yesterday to Nashville, aka Clean New Orleans, aka uh, I've never been to New Orleans either, but
I haven't either. I can't.
no,
I can't speak to that.
it just I don't know. But it was a fine enough trip. Although I feel like I've learned about myself somewhat on the trip. We met with like vendors and stuff. It's a work trip. We met with like vendors and stuff, and they take us out. So they took us to a fancy schmancy restaurant, and these restaurants they're overrated as heck. like, I think I think part of it is just like people overrated because they spend so much money on it because they like it and stuff. Like I got a steak. The steak alone costs like $100. And we're talking to people like throughout the week or throughout the thing. They're like, "Oh, where you going?" And we're like, "Oh, we're going to this place." And they're like, "Oh, they got the best some of the best steaks ever." And so I was like, "Okay." One thing, I'm not a huge steak person, so maybe I'm in the wrong crowd for this. But I know good food when I eat it, and I know how to be like, "Oh, this is really good." And the steak was just a normal, pretty normal steak. It was cooked exactly how I like it to be cooked, but they did have some thick cut bacon with cotton candy on top. That was great. Love that.
Oh,
And
ew.
no, it was good, Sean.
No, ew. Stop. Quit.
It was good.
That's good.
um, um, but oh, it was like and like the tab was probably it was like 25 of us. The tab was probably like $5,000 that they paid for. And me, I'm just like, man, you could have just sent me to Chili's and I would have enjoyed it just as much. It was like a 3 hour long dinner too. We were there from like
Oof.
7:30 to like
Oof.
11.
That's
But it didn't
rough.
feel it went by pretty fast.
That's
But
rough, buddy.
uh but
One of my least
our little
favorite
dinner.
one of my least favorite anniversary memories. Not least favorite. All my anniversaries are good, but one of my least favorite parts of any anniversary is we went to like a fancy restaurant downtown Kansas City. Everybody recommended. It's just a really small, good piece of steak. It's very expensive. Like again, it was cooked perfect, but I needed like three more of them.
I feel bad. I didn't eat all my steak. They I saw a 6 ounce steak. I was like, oh, that's not enough. And then so I got a 10 ounce, which is like $30 more or something like that. But I did not eat probably half of the steak. But whatever. They didn't care. They were just blowing money
They're
and
not
stuff.
judging
And
you. I
yeah,
mean, if I were sitting across from you though, Chris, I have no shame. I'd have been like, "Can I eat that steak right there?" No shame. That's a
and
well,
I get my steak medium. I get my steak medium well. Are you one of those people who get their steak like medium rare
yeah.
or rare?
Medium.
Uh,
Okay, so medium rare. But if I am
I used to
in
be
a Chili's
yeah.
or an Applebee's or something, and they usually overcook it, so then I say rare and hope that it gets
Uh,
medium rare. But then sometimes that does backfire exactly how you think it would. It's not a perfect formula.
I'm a medium well guy. Medium is every now and then I would do medium. And Pisano's has a really good steak gorgonzola that I used to love to get medium.
Paisanos is
That's probably
so
the best.
underappreciated as an entity.
I love Pisano's.
What a great. I don't think it exists in Lawrence anymore. I think I would have to go to Topeka for
Oh,
that.
really? It doesn't.
I don't think so. At least I haven't been over there for a
Okay.
while. It used to be a staple.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, Chris, I'm glad you had a nice work trip and an overrated meal. But I hope you get caught up on your rest. As yeah, I mean that's like the downside of traveling is coming back. But Chris, I get to go on vacation next week. I'm gonna be in Mexico for a week. and it's through Heather's work, so it is a work trip for Heather. I just
Ah,
get to go. It is it's on an all-inclusive resort, and I've been to bad all-inclusive resorts that I pay for, and I always regret those. I've been to good
mhm.
all-inclusive resorts that Heather's work pays for, and they're my favorite things ever. And there's no in between. There's no. You either pay way too much for a good one, or you don't pay enough and you get exactly what you pay for, and you wish you were anywhere else. And that is the state of all-inclusive resorts. But anyway, this is a good one. I'm very excited to go there for a week, and Heather doesn't really have to work. There's like 2 dinners that she has to be at, and that's it. Like I have to bring one nice outfit. So very excited. So we'll record 2 things tonight, and you'll have to predict your national champion because by the time I come back and we record again, it'll basically be then. So you'll have to make your pick now. I'm going with UConn, I guess. It's a weird year in college basketball.
Oh, okay. I have no idea. I need to make my bracket after this. I need to
Repeat.
remember to make it.
Yeah, it's last chance.
I guess I
We're
can make it before like 11 tomorrow, probably.
it's a weird time. It's like 10:40 or 10:20.
Okay.
It's a slight, but yeah, you got like a couple hours in the morning. But we're doing college basketball. Give me UConn for the first repeat in I don't know since like Florida in 0506 or something like first repeat champs in 20 years, I believe. That's my call.
Mm.
Chris, let's talk about today's topic, which we kind of came up with on the fly, I believe, during our trivia panel. And that is just top 10 favorite characters from the Avatar The Last Airbender universe. All of it. The whole universe. Korra, books, comics, Avatar, movie, I guess, if you're into that. Netflix TV show, the universe, all of it. And just favorites. Just hitting us personally right here in the sentiments. And I'm looking forward to this. I love just diving kind of face first, heavy handed right into nostalgia. Just makes me feel good. That that's all I got. Any
Yeah,
other intro
yeah.
you want to slap on this?
Yeah. I mean, usually, we often love to make lists that are like as objective as possible, but every now and then, just love doing a list that's just completely subjective. Um, there's no right or wrong answers to this. We'd love to know everyone else's top 10. Also, I hated making this list because there's just so many great characters in Avatar that when I look at like, I look at the characters who didn't make the top 10, and it's like, holy crap, I can't believe that person didn't make my top 10. That's interesting.
Do you by chance have a well, 2 things. First, this list is definitely skewed more of like a Shawn activity because I loved making this list. I love the uninhibited joy of putting a person higher on the list just because my heart's like, yep, right. I love that.
Hmm.
Do you by chance have a clear cut number 11? Because I have a clear cut number 11. Like we always do honorable
Yes,
mentions.
I do have a clear cut number 11.
Let's randomly start with 11 because I really want to squeeze my number
Oh,
11 in.
okay,
Is that all right? Uh,
sure.
Chris, I will do the. I already forgot. You start with number 11. Yeah,
Okay.
you lead with number 11, and then we'll snake back and forth. So we're gonna throw a curveball and do top 10 because clickbait titles, but we're gonna do 11 just because.
No, no. Let's title this top 11, unless you've
Top.
already changed.
No, I haven't. I can have absolutely title
Okay.
it top 11. Maybe people will see that and they'll be like, "That's a typo," and then they'll click on it. They'll be
Yeah.
like, "No, we're throwing curveballs all over this place." Chris, I have a. You know
That's
what?
that's a
I
that's
I
a new
have a
trick that people
12,
do nowadays.
like
They'll
a
make
different
a
number.
well, no, they'll purposely make a mistake in like the title or something. They'll be like, I don't know. They'll purposely be like the Avatar, the last Korra, or this is a complete made up hypothetical. And then people will write under comment, you mean Avatar, the Last Airbender, and that creates
Mhm.
engagement and stuff. So it's annoying a little bit.
There's an actual like I don't want to call it a law, but maybe it is a law. I don't know. Like a theory that describes it, and it's called like Cunningham's law or Cunningham's theory or something, and it's the idea of posting something a little bit wrong on
Mm,
purpose, online
yeah.
specifically, and yeah, it's a real thing. But anyway, yeah, top 11. Or Chris, I don't want to take over. If you got a top 12, I've got a 12. It just wasn't as important to me as 11. But
No, 12. I like top 11
top
better, Sean.
11.
Come on,
Okay.
bro.
Yeah,
You
let's
know,
do top 11.
top
Tw-
12. Top 12 you're stretching into 15s now, and that's just too long of a list.
12
Top
rounds up
11,
to
you're like, all right,
13, rounds up to 15, rounds up to 20, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
We should have done
All
top
right.
100. Chris,
I,
fundraiser someday.
I
We'll do top 100 for a fundraiser. We'll do
holy
like a
crap.
multiple hour live stream. It'll be great. Some other day.
I can, I'm sure I can come up with a hundred, man,
We
that I at
can.
least like.
That you at least don't not like. Which double? Yeah, okay, what
Yeah.
you said. I think we,
Mm.
yeah, I think we can. I think there'd be a lot of characters in there that smaller, smaller run times, but they're
Yeah.
just people that you
Like
like.
long shot. Like long shot would be like 80.
Yeah. Yeah, long shot would be in there for sure.
Yeah. All right. Number 11. Again, this is one that didn't make my top 10 that I was probably the most surprised about. Also, I'm really curious how your list is going to be. 'Cause I feel like we're going to have
I
pretty
think
different lists,
I think there's going to
except
be
for like
50-50
top.
overlap.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I think
Yeah.
50-50 overlap.
All right. Number 11 is I'm gonna cushion this by giving this person the highest compliment. Number 11 is the greatest earthbender ever, and that is Toph Beifong. Um, that's the one where I did my list. And I was like, man, she didn't even make the
Chris,
list.
Chris is
I
like,
love
there are no
Toph.
wrong answers, and immediately the whole internet's like, you go to hell. you
Yeah.
take you take your other 10 characters straight to hell with you.
She is. I feel like Toph is an amazing character. We had a whole episode about who changed Avatar the most between Toph and Azula, and Toph is just such an amazing character to change the dynamic of Team Avatar. She is the greatest Earthbender alive ever. She came up with three freaking subsets of bending by herself. There's seismic sense, there's metal bending, there's truth seeing, um, and she's a BA also. And she's her comedy is unmatched. So much great humor there. She's a amazing character. She just didn't make my top 10.
Self-aware. But she did make your list. You can say that now. He's like, she didn't make your top 10, but
Oh
she made your
yeah,
list.
yeah.
Chris, my number 11 that, like, he couldn't make my top 10. It just didn't feel right. But there's something about
Mm.
his character that, like, made me love the whole set of novels, all of them. This specific
Oh,
character
okay.
is
Ooh,
Lauka because
interesting.
I know,
Okay.
and he didn't fit in the top 10. I couldn't do it. But there's something about his, like, the nature of bending that he displays that's like it's we try to categorize and organize everything, and that's fun and we enjoy it and that's what humans do, but like as a reminder that there's still like this sort of mystical magical element to bending,
Mm.
like a creative capacity, or that we don't fully understand it, that's part of its charm to me, and nothing embodies it more than this 200 plus year old man that just corrects the very cells in his body because they're carbon based, which is an element of the earth. And that just makes sense to me, even though it's weird. And he stays alive forever. And he's an assassin. And he has different motives that you never get to quite hear the end of. Like, I liked the first novel a ton. It was my favorite one of the novels, but there's something about his character that I wish we'd get more kind of weird stuff like that. Maybe get too close to Power Creep. But anyway, I had to discuss him because he inspired my love for the whole set of novels.
Wow, that's a very deep cut number 10 there.
Number 11. Number
Like
11.
yeah, number 11. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry, sorry. Number 11. Yeah, Lauga's great. It's funny we talk about sub bending all the time, and Lauga's technique would be a sub bending technique. So it's often not we often don't talk about it like a sub bending technique, but yeah, definitely is. It's a it that and I mean, that's part of what kept Kyoshi alive for 230 years. That and probably Otswat's blood bending sort of technique of
Yeah, the
and
combination
stuff.
of those two wealths of knowledge, like no wonder Kyoshi lived forever. She had all.
Yeah. One of these days I want to do. I don't know if it's a maybe just a Royal Rumble of of uh of assassins in the Avatar universe, something around that. Because well, there also there's only three, but I'm sure there's more assassins than that I can think of. Or maybe I have to widen my definition. Maybe outlaw, maybe something like that. But you know, there's June, there's the Combustion Man, there's Lauga. Like when you want something done, who do you call?
Yeah,
Which
maybe
one
just
call?
what do you call like mercenary maybe type work,
Yeah,
like even mercenary that implies murder. It's not always murder, but just what do you call that? We'll think of a good
hired.
name. Yeah, hired goon, hired hired
I want to say
gun.
hired gun, but they don't have guns. But
Like that's
yeah.
kind of what makes it funny. Uh, Chris, my number 10. We'll sneak back and forth. My number 10. You got to make the internet mad first. Now I get to make the internet mad. My number 10 is Zuko. For obvious Zuko reasons, he has a tremendous character arc. As even, well, not a better arc in the live action series, but I like his character also in the live action series. I
Yeah,
like it.
it's not done yet.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
done
not.
yet.
It's not. Well, it already started off with from a from a higher place. But long story short,
I get what you're
I like all of the representations of Zuko. I think they use him very effectively as a medium for some of the lessons that they're pitching, and the what do you call it, the moral compass that they're trying to pitch, which is funny to think about, like that character didn't even exist when they were crafting the show, and all of a sudden they just like stumbled into this perfect medium for expressing kind of real humanity, and I think that's fantastic. So I imagine you and or a lot of people probably have Zuko higher, and that's okay. I love him. He's in my top 10 at number 10. Tremendous character.
saying. Yeah. Oh, side note, we got a new watcher. Jake Schwartz. He said he's watched like he left comment on our last video. He says he listened to roughly 20 hours worth of it over the last week since he found our podcast. So shout out to him. He also said he would love to, or maybe not love, but he oh no, he did say love. Want to see our character rankings list on the original Avatar and Korra on who's your favorite characters rather than most powerful. Anyway, I forgot to shout him out.
Oh, hey, thanks. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, where are we at? My number 10.
You're number 10.
My number 10 is. Speaking of the novels, my number 10. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope, I did this wrong. Sorry.
My number 11 wasn't even really my number 11.
Ah, man. I didn't. Okay. I have to.
No,
I
now's a
didn't have
perfect.
12. No, I didn't have 12. That's 11. Shatter is 12. I forgot that I
Oh,
made. I had to
God.
add in. But I'll do my next two.
Yeah.
So that's even worse. You did
Well,
me wrong.
actually, and you'll end up
Uh,
doing next three, right? Because you're going to do 11, 10, and then 9. All right, Chris, hit us with it. Now,
oh,
Chris,
boy.
the
Okay.
internet's, Chris is like, Sean made the internet mad, and I got to make him more mad again.
Sorry.
Take these beloved
Okay. My
characters and
number.
throw them out.
My number 11 is Rongi.
Great choice.
Love Rongi. She's like if Azula was good, but she's also about honor, but also like she's so protective of Kyoshi, so powerful and fierce, and yet she's vulnerable at the same time. She's just a really, really well written character that each scene I just look forward to her in it, and that is just a great character, great story. Love her so much. Okay, my number 10 is that's funny. My number 10 is Tenzin.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose. Though. That just
That's
happened.
kind of amusing.
Uh, Tenzin. Ah man, when I watched Legend of Korra, I just love his relationship with with Korra as that father figure. I love his journey. I think he's such a real character to me, even though he's so uptight and he has so much upon his shoulders. But you understand why? Like he has to take on not only his father's legacy as the Avatar, but his father's legacy as the Last Airbender. Like, there was a point in time where Tenzin was the Last Airbender until Janora was born. He has to take on the whole responsibility of of recreating a whole new culture, recreating a new culture and everything. And there are so many great scenes in Legend of Korra that I just love, especially in season 3 when he's on Air Temple Island and looking at Aang's statue, and there's new airbenders. It's like it's just like you dreamed, Dad. Like there's new airbenders, and his kids come and sit down with him. And they talk about what it means to become to have a new air nation. Um, Tim's just such a strong character. I love his relationship with his brothers and with Kaya and Bumi because it's so real, even though it's not perfect. Like like Aang, I believe Aang loved his kids all the same, but because Tim was an airbender, Aang had to. I wouldn't say had. I wouldn't make any excuses for Aang. Aang just naturally brought his into that, and Tim didn't even realize like by the end of it, that's not all on him to remake the Air Nation. Him and his siblings both did it. Like that last fight with uh with Red Lotus, them three are defending the air temples. Even though Boomy is a new air nomad, Kaya is getting her crap wrecked by Ming Hua. Them three are trying to save this legacy of what of their father's legacy, and they come together and do it. It's such. That's one of the things I love about Legend of Korra is that there's just much more nuance. I think some of the relationships they're more complicated and they're a little more realistic. And Tenzin's relationships with everyone, whether it's Korra or his brother sister, or his kids, just seem very grounded in this mystical world.
Ditto.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I got to keep going.
Yeah, you gotta keep
Uh,
rattling them off. I'll interrupt just for a moment and say I thought for a second like, okay, Chris did share his 12. Do I share my 12? And I've been thinking about, and I think the answer is no because it's actually kind of funny. I think it'll be funnier if you don't know that this person is number 12 until the very end.
uh,
So I'm gonna abstain from my number 12.
good. Watch it be tough. Don't say anything. Okay. Um. Sorry. Number
that
9.
that will be, I mean, would be incredible. Oh, spoil. Just kidding.
number number 9. Staying with air nomads. Number 9 is Avatar Yang Chen. I'm actually surprised she's this though, because she had a whole 2 novels dedicated to herself. But Yang Chen, she is such a a oxymoron. Like she is regarded as out of all the avatars we know, she's like the only one that is thought of to the public as like a goddess figure. Like people put stuff on Yang Chen or they say things in Yang Chen's name, like, oh, thank Yang Chen that so and so happened. I've never heard that done with any other avatar except for Yang Chen. And like she probably comes off as holier than thou for a lot of stuff. Um she she's not that. Like Yang Chen is a master manipulator. She has to like deal with money and stuff all the time and how to run like not how to run commerce and stuff. Like the Yang Chen, actual Yang Chen, if I had to put like a like did a meme, it'd be like Yang Chen, how Avatar fans perceive Yang Chen, and probably some goddess and stuff, praying hands. How Avatar Yang Chen really is, probably just throwing money and like writing checks and stuff like that, manipulating people. Like Yang Chen, she is, I think, one of the most interesting air nomads because she understands that she can use violence as a technique and she does it in different ways. Even though we just assume she's killed people, we've actually never, I don't know, seen her kill people. Oh wait, no, wait, did she kill that? What? I'm
She
not. I
did
kind of forgot.
not. No.
Yeah, I don't think. I think it was. Well, anyway, but she used deadly techniques. Like she used the suffocation technique to a point where she didn't even want to show it in front of other people. She held people captive, like, like
She is fully
almost
capable
like
of
no
killing
trial.
people. 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, she is such an interesting character. She probably out of all the avatars, I think her personality is my favorite out of all the avatars.
Great choices. Chris, my number 9 and my number 8. I have several that are kind of sort of pairs. And I'll gonna essentially give them together. My number 9 is Zahir. My number 8 is Aman. There are only, little spoiler alert, there's only two villains on my list. And it's these two villains, and they are my favorite villains. In my opinion, objectively, I think they're the best villains, I would argue. But tremendous villains. Janji's probably my third favorite villain, but he didn't quite make it.
Mm,
Uh, these
yeah.
two these two have just the more empathetic causes, right? Where again, you don't necessarily agree with the methods, but you kind of see where they're coming from. And I've put Amon just a smidge ahead of Zahir because again, there's just something about his cause that feels just so powerfully empathetic in this world where things don't feel fair, and they they're both like dangerous and deadly. They're creative. They're conniving. Both physically gifted, right? So they're just kind of fun to watch and absorb in every respect. And so, only two villains on the list. A little bit of a spoiler alert, but it is these two. They are not just my favorite. I would argue they are the best, but they're also my favorite. Number 9, Zahir. Number 8, Aman.
That is interesting, Sean. I'm gonna come in here at my number 8, which is also Amon. That's
Nice,
interesting.
nice.
Yeah, we did not make these lists together at all, so that is very coincidental,
Yeah, that's awesome.
serendipitous. Mm. Yeah, Amon. Maybe a little biased. I've cosplayed as Amon before, and it's fun. Like it, you cosplay as certain characters, and you feel like you take over a little bit of that character. Like who like, oh, I cosplayed as a Sokka recently. And I didn't feel like Sokka. I just felt like I was dressed up
Yeah,
as Sokka. But like dressing as Amon, like you kind of get into the character of Amon. And Amon is like,
there's some method acting involved.
yeah, Amon is I think he's the most intimidating villain in the Avatar universe because his threat is real. Like he will take your bending away, and bending is part of people's identities in the Avatar universe. And he's just so threatening. He has a lot of great quotes, like just the "I am the revolution." Like he's just so cool.
He
Also, he's
is
a great,
cool.
yeah.
And his outfit is cool but practical.
Yeah, it's not too fancy, but yeah, like you said, it's practical.
Feels grounded.
Um,
His
yeah, and the
backstory is sympathetic. How do you not feel for him? Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. He
God.
is a product of his bad upbringing and stuff. In a twisted way, he feels like bending um would ruin the world. It's interesting when I think about. I had this thought
Excuse me.
today about the future of Avatar, like what takes place in the future Avatar, and how how a bending is introduced and then it grows and grows and grows. Like it, like lightning bending at first was something that just Zhu could do, and then people in the royal family could do it, and then in Legend of Korra time frame, every a lot of people could lightning bend. Same with metal bending. Like at some point, hmm, maybe not, maybe because Amon and Tarlok were killed, but at some point, someone may figure out how to take people's bending away through blood bending, and there might come a point where like bending becomes too dangerous that it almost becomes people just start taking people's bending away. And I was thinking about like a story in the future of where bending, where like the reverse has happened. Like benders are now, kind of getting that X-Men treatment. Like we can't trust these people in our schools or anything because this happens and this happens. Like bending is getting far too, like so many people can now make explosions with their eyeballs. Like it's too dangerous. Like we gotta take away bending. And then of course there'll be an avatar who has to like be a not a, I wouldn't say a messiah. But also I've been thinking about messiahs too lately, because I watched Dune 2, which had a lot of stuff about messiahs in there. And I was thinking about Avatar and how like I was thinking about messiah stories. I was thinking about how the Avatar is the messiah of this universe, but they're not treated like that. Like they're like think about the way like Angus Sweater Tree like that. The first couple episodes, like, oh, the Avatar has returned. Like he has his chosen one thing, but then after that, people kind of treat him like a normal kid. Like, yeah, sure, he'll save the day. And then Korra, of course, isn't treated like the Messiah, but I think it's because I'm going off on a tangent, but I like this tangent. I've been thinking about it a lot. What's that? I think it's because Messiah stories require two things. It requires an oppressed people who share something in common. So whether that's their race or their region where they're from or something about them, and then it requires real faith. And and when it comes to the Avatar doesn't require faith. Because to me, faith is like believing something without concrete proof that it exists. Like I can tell you 2 + 2 = 4, we'll agree on that. If I tell you, hey, I believe a man died on a cross 2,000 something years ago and he rose up 3 days later, like I believe that in my heart. I can't like I believe it as fact, but I can't prove that to you. Something like that's what faith is. Like faith is believing like without concrete. So like everyone would believe in Jesus if Jesus came down and stuff. But anyway, so the point is that a really good Messiah story um, would involve if it was had to do with the Avatar, it would involve like someone being like bending like the Avatar hasn't been around for thousands of years. Like it's a myth, and then someone would be like, no, like just and someone would create a legend like, oh, the Avatar will return, and they would do this. They would bend this element and this element and this element, and their eyes will glow of light, or their eyes will be filled with light, and then it would be like, and then of course this Messiah-like character would like fill out the prophecy of these different things. Anyway, got off on a real tangent there because I was thinking about the future of Avatar stuff and where it's going.
You,
Amon's cool. That's some more of the
yeah.
story.
Well, if Aang had been gone longer, right, that could have felt more
Yeah.
Messiah-like. Other than I suppose there'd still be benders around, which so never mind. It kind of defies the point of your story, which is a world without bending, but there's still an Avatar. But anyway, how was Dude 2? Was it good?
It was good. The thing is, I think it was good. Dune 2 is one of those movies that I'm like, I just go with it. I'm not sure everything is happening because I don't know the universe of Dune that well.
It
I
seems like
get
a
the
pretty
gist. These are
complex, deep universe.
like these are bad people. These are good people. Okay, I got it. I don't know the backstories of them and stuff like that. So I'm just going with vibes. Um, but it was really cool. Like, how visually it was great. Directing it was great. Story was cool. I enjoyed watching it. Not sure. I don't need to see it again. I'll watch the next one that comes out. I didn't love the first one, so this one's improvement over that. So it was cool.
Awesome. Um, that was your 8, and so give your 7.
Number 7. So while Amon, I think is Amon. Is do I think Amon's the best villain? Probably. But even so, this next character I like more, and that is Princess Azula of the Fire Nation. I know you'll disagree because I'm sure she's not even on your
There's
honorable
there's
list.
no wrong. There's no, she's on my HMs with, yeah, she's
Ah,
on my HMs, yeah.
Um, I love Azula. She is so determined, so skillful, so manipulative, so craftful. Not nearly as menacing as like Amon is. She's mostly menacing to like weaker people. Like she has those moments of weaker people, but she's not like Amon had Korra shook and had the other people shook. Like, oh no, he could take our bending away. Azula most of the time just has like weaker people shook. Uh, Not to take anything away from Azula. She's a master manipulator. She's a great character. I think she is the best lightning bender. Like, not one thing I love lightning powers, which is somewhat a racial stereotype. There's a lot of black characters with lightning powers, um, but I like her nonetheless. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I'm black. But
Yeah, I never made
um,
that connection, but that is kind of amusing.
there's there's a lot. It's a weird.
Now I'm
I
trying to
don't
go
know.
the opposite route and trying to think of a lightning power character that's not black, and I'm failing.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why. It all starts with Black Lightning, I guess, and then from there, Storm, and
Yeah,
then
it got
it
crazy.
just got out of control. To be honest.
I think yeah, I think the closest thing I can think of is Ernest in Ernest Goes to Jail when he develops nebulous magnetic lightning powers, and that's as close as I can think of is Jim Varney. That's not a good
Hmm.
bar for superherodom. Anyway, lightning powers cool,
Azula.
always cool.
Yeah. Yes, Azula's freaking great. I love. I don't want a full redemption for Azula. I really don't. Um, I wouldn't mind an anti-hero Azula, but a full redemption. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, and that's gonna come up I think in later conversation later down this list when I talk about another character I love. Um, but I don't want that for her. I like a good villain to be a good villain. At best, I want her to be an anti-hero.
And not everybody figures things out before they die. Some people just
Exactly.
die bad,
Yeah.
and you feel bad for them, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think, but anyway, Chris, great choices. My 7 and my 6 also do kind of go together. And my number 7 is Tenzin, and my number 6 is
Mm,
Korra.
sorry.
Number 7, Tenzin. What a tremendous character. All of the things that he is trying to balance. He's like his own team avatar. He's a dad. He's the new last airbender. You know, he's everything that you said, and you said it tremendously. He's one of the few characters that a lot of times if a character gets on my nerves when we would do a list like this, I would look on them unfavorably, right? They wouldn't make this kind of list for me, but there's something about Tenzin, there's just that like fatherly nature or the way that they really do a good job of making you feel for him that I love him. He's like he could be my cartoon dad. I feel very sentimentally strong about Tenzin and the work he's doing. And then Korra, the person with whom he has a tremendous sort of father like relationship. Obviously, we rave frequently about Korra's avatar abilities, about her character growth. She is not
Mm.
always my favorite personality. That's what pushes her farther down my list than I assume, like yours, for
Okay.
example. Right, she's just not my favorite personality, a person to literally watch and enjoy on screen. Um, and that's fine. She doesn't have to be a great
Yeah.
avatar or a great character. But I still very much enjoy her journey. I enjoy her bravery and the way that she faces different things, or the ways that I connect with her tend to be like in maybe her not so good qualities, and you find those relatable when you think about yourself as a younger person and how you might have acted in a similar circumstance. So, yeah, just very characters that I find very relatable in sort of touching, sentimental ways. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about those other than that they kind of hit home. And the only thing that keeps, like I said, maybe both of them a little farther down the list is they are both characters that can occasionally get on my nerves from like a personality standpoint.
Mm.
That is my
Cool.
7
Yeah.
and my 6.
All right. I know I can't talk about Korra yet. you know. But I'll get there
Understandable.
eventually.
Understandable.
I'm surprised Tenzin was so high. Glad to see that.
That caught me by surprise
Uh,
too. I was really struggling. I was like, do I
yeah.
like Tenzin more than these awesome villains? And like, that was yeah, that was tough for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh man, one of my favorite Tenzin moments. One of these days we'll do like an episode of just favorite moments of certain characters. Um,
that'd be fun.
when Zahir is threatening Tenzin and everything, he's telling him like you're just bait. Like we don't like we're gonna get Korra, and Tenzin is like over my dead body, something like that. And Tenzin like because oftentimes in these threatening situations, like hostage situations, the person who's being threatened is like, all right, do what he says. And Tenzin's like, F that. And then he goes after him and starts fighting. Anyway,
He
well,
has his priorities down from day one, and he does grow and he shifts and he learns throughout. But like, he is a man of his principles, and that is never in doubt.
yeah, yeah. All right. My number, what is this?
6.
One, two, three, four, six. I didn't write numbers on the side of these. So anyway, my number six is Zuko. Yeah, love Zuko. This is probably the greatest character arc ever written in. It's one of the greatest redemption arcs ever, and I can't think of something better. To be honest, I don't think something better exists in terms of a redemption arc. Um, it's and it's funny because this character gets a lot just through through the character arc, but love how. Sorry, I should have paused it. Love how he goes from being angry to being so lost. Like I love watching his journey. It's such an interesting journey, and it's also a testament that growth is not a straight line. It's not exponential. It goes like this and Peter and patters, and you're going to make mistakes along the way, but it's okay to make mistakes as long
And
as
it's
you
well, it's
know
never
learn
ending
from it.
too. Like you never,
Yeah.
I guess, unless you practice one of certain religions, which you do, that's totally fine. But you never, like for the most part, achieve this state of perfection where you're done fighting those
Mm.
battles.
Yeah, and we see that throughout the comics. Like even after the show, he's still dealing with stuff. Like that's why he has to go on the search. He's like, I gotta find my mother, or I gotta find something because like without that, like I'm still feel a little lost. Yeah, so Zuko just continues to grow. And then in terms of Zuko's weirdly comedic, like
Sometimes
uh,
unintentionally.
yeah. And then I will say, so we're talking about whole entire Avatar universe, although we were talking about whole canon universe. Uh, It's probably my favorite stuff in the live action. So much great stuff done there. I think Dallas Liu did a great job portraying Zuko,
Hmm,
even though it's kind of a less angry Zuko, and it's a more like I understand Zuko more. Um, but he did a great job. Great interpretation of the character as well.
agreed.
Showed a slightly different side to Zuko.
All of the best
Um,
moments of the live action series that like make you stop and think, like all of those were Zuko moments.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, what else can I say about Zuko? He's, he's one of the best written characters of all time,
I think
and
there's
this is a
probably a lot of people who would put Zuko as their number one, and I'd be like, "Yep, I get it."
yeah, absolutely.
Hmm, great choice.
All right, my number five. I'm looking at my. Let's see here. Uh, to feed the Zutara fans. My number five is Katara. I did not do that on purpose. Anyway, Katara. It's interesting. I when I was making this list, I think I initially had Zuko higher than Katara, and then I think I just thinking a lot about Katara lately because I really like the stuff. I know we disagree on it. And this, I really like the stuff they do with her in a live action show, but it made me think more so about the stuff I really love about Katara in just in the animated universe. Like Katara started off weak in meager, and she ended up and like she doesn't have like she doesn't come from royalty or anything. She like Azula and Zuko sometimes call her a peasant because she lives such a humble life. Like grew up in the Southern Water Tribe, and she ended up becoming yeah the greatest waterbender of her time through hard work and dedication. And I love how much waterbending means to her personally. Like it is so much part of her culture. That's one of the things that in the animated show. It's so heavily talked about how like waterbending is part of her culture and her identity. Even in the comics, like she talks to Aang like taking away someone's bending. Sure, it's not as bad as killing them, but also you're taking away part of the person's identity because Katara knows like waterbending. Like she couldn't imagine not having waterbending. In the live action show, I think did a really good job of showing how waterbending is part of her culture, it's part of her identity. Because or her arc there. I think throughout that season is about her reclaiming what belongs to her, reclaiming her identity. And Grand tells her that, like Grand tells her, like go reclaim, what the world took from you. And I would die on this hill that her being a self-taught master is an improvement because she recaptured that herself. Like it wasn't, someone else who taught her waterbending. It wasn't a sexist old man who still had a soft, who went soft for a 60-year-old crush, because still had a crush on her. Essentially, it was herself. She took that back from the world that took something from her. And I just connect so much to that part of that character of Katara, and of course, she does that in the animated series as well, without a doubt. They just made a little bit more of a emphasis, I think, there in the live action show, but it's still a huge part of her character arc, in every story and everything is about Katara taking her identity. And I love that a lot. And she talks about hope and stuff a lot, and I'm just a optimistic person, and but she's not like too good at it. Like she considers doing dark stuff sometimes. She's just a realistic character. Love Katara. Tara is my number five.
The best part about all those things that you said, Chris, is like you taking part of her culture back. But remember, that's a culture that, like, even in her own culture, like nobody else was
Yeah,
supported. It was just Grand. So she was like going against the immediate grain of the good people around her too. Like there's
yeah,
like an element of extra element of bravery and courage. And then I'll just point out the only thing that I don't even say I have an issue with. I think the animated show I think does a better job of making me feel like she sort of earned and deserves the progress that she makes. And you still arrive at the same place where she, under her own power and drive, is going head to head with Master Paku, 100% effectively because of what she did and the work that she put in. I just think the animated show does a better job of displaying
yeah.
that growth and that progress that she makes. I just felt like in the live action, it was like, oh, she just
I think they
met.
do. I think they do show it like each episode. Not to get into a debate about the
Oh, it's a good debate.
each
We'll have to
episode.
split it into its own episode at some point.
Each episode shows her growing and developing her waterbending skills differently and stuff. Like at first, she can only do this thing, and then she learns how to do that, and then she progresses here and there. Like it's not as like abrupt as it might seem. And also the term. I get in this debate with people. Like in the animated show, Tara's fairly she's self-taught. Like she went toe to toe with Master Paku without any formal training at all. Like people are like, oh well, how she become a master without training? Like she trained with Paku for like a
Yeah,
week. Like her becoming a master really what like she got a
yeah,
I'm sure it helped without a doubt to train with Paku, but she was already a great bender without Paku, and she grew without like do so without him.
yeah.
Um, there's another point to make. Oh, the term master
I do not
is
care.
one thing.
I had to call it. I do not give a crap about the term master at all. Like
Oh,
the
okay.
end result is the exact same in both, which is that she puts up a great fight against a racist
Yeah.
old man, a sexist old man. Well, maybe he could be racist. I don't know, but a sexist old man. And that's they
Women
both kind of the
cannot
same.
fight.
But
And don't get me started on black women. No,
but my so no, I don't care about the use of the term at all. I just like the animated series made me feel more like she sort of practiced in early growth, where it felt more abrupt in the live action. Anyway, I interrupted your point. Go ahead.
I forgot. Wait, did I forget
People
the term master?
care a lot about the term master and how it's
Yeah,
maybe thrown
the
around
term
or used.
master. The term master in the Avatar universe is vague, and it's
Yep.
vague by nation. Like to become an airbending master, you either have to create a new airbending technique or do like a certain amount of hours or trials of airbending. To become a master in Fire Nation, apparently that's more of like a I think of it more as a military title because Shao was technically a master, and if someone gets firebending, I wouldn't say he's that much that powerful. Like Zuko beat him in an Agony Kai when Zuko was like not
Not even
that
good
great.
Zuko, just regular first season Zuko, episode 4 or
Yeah.
whatever.
So to me the basis of master, and this is probably somewhat true for real life like martial arts, is the ability to teach. Because the people who you call masters are those people who are teaching you. And if Katara got to a point where she could teach Aang waterbending, then she is a master. It's the same thing with the which is why she's kind of a self-made master even in the live action show because all those people come to her at the end of her Master Paku fight and they're like, "Hey, can you teach me this? Teach me this," and she ends up leading them in battle. But anyway, Turn Master is a loose
Don't yeah, don't
terminology in the first.
don't dwell on it too long. Unless you want to, and
Yeah.
then go ahead and dwell on it too long. That's fine. Chris, great choices. Our lists have more overlap maybe than I expected. Like off a few numbers here and
Oh
there and
yeah.
stuff. But yeah, we got some overlap. This is my last pair, but I do have another pair, and that's that my number 5 is Sokka and my number 4 is Katara. And and it all boils down to, first of all the things that we just said about Katara, right? That she's my number 4. Love Katara. I really enjoy the live action portrayal. I might enjoy the process of the anime more, but I love both presentations. I think the actress in live action did a nice job. Also, Sokka and Katara feel like some of the most relatable to me. Just like grounded, the way that siblings interact and feel and behave around each other. And it's like it's a little maybe campy because it's an animated TV show. But I think
True.
that just they feel so relatable to me that when I was watching the show initially, that they were like an immediate hook for what made me engaged with the show or made me care about the characters was kind of their relationship together. So independently, I like Sokka. He's humorous. He's like a fish out of water in certain points, but he finds his way. I like that he has his own unique identity, and again, all the things we said about Katara. But really, it's the relationship that I was not going to be able to separate it because that relationship was so impactful to me enjoying and getting into the show right from the get go. Too, you instantly see a fun dynamic and it shifts and it grows, but it's engaging immediately between them. So number 5, Sokka. Number 4, Katara. That is my last like pairing that I couldn't break up.
Oh, nice. I will talk about Saga.
Please.
He's no higher on my list. But so he didn't make
Oh,
my
higher
number
as in
four.
higher, bigger number. Okay, got it.
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. I meant he's not higher. Anyway, but
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, that's a weird way
Saga's
to like
great.
higher.
I love Saga. He's a great character. Just the list is it's a hard list. Like I said, I didn't enjoy making decisions much. I got to a certain point, I was like, oh crap, this character's not on there. This character's not on there. But all right, my number four, which is why I laugh because my number 6 is Zuko, my number 5 is Katara, and my number 4 is Aang. So I did that on accident. Um, I love Aang. I know sometimes I might sound like I'm hard on Aang, um, because I'm an avid I'm an avid Korra defender, so sometimes because I think Korra gets a bad rap, I think she's unfairly judged a lot of times. So you probably find me defending Korra way more than um, and like I'm also I'll say like, oh, I think Korra is a better this whatever thing. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I love Aang. Um, Aang, the thing I love about him most is he is non-compromising in that in a world that tells you to be something and you say back, the world tells you you need to be this in order to be great or to be successful. And Yang is like, F that. I'm not going to be that. Well, he's not like F that. He says it in a polite manner. No,
Sure.
I'm not going to be that. I'm Aang. I'm an air nomad. I'm not going to kill people. I believe in second chances. I believe in real justice and harmony. And I'm not going to forsake what I've been taught just because the world tells me to be different. Absolutely love that about the character of Aang. Also, I just love the thing about Aang is like my favorite Dragon Ball Z character is Gohan, and Gohan and Aang both have this like innocence to them, but it's like if you piss them off, they get more powerful, and the real power comes out. And Aang's just such a great character, and I love that they made him more complex in Legend of Korra. Like they made him not like the greatest father in the world. I'm sure he still was a great father, um, but Aang is and I sure I've said in the past before that Aang is probably one of the least well written characters in the original series because he doesn't go on a character arc. In my head, he doesn't go on a character arc because he doesn't deal with any lies he tells himself. He doesn't change his perspective or anything like that. But that's what I love about him is that he's non-changing because he doesn't need to change. Sometimes you have those characters that don't need to change. I would just rather have like his influence be more impactful to individual characters. But again, the character himself, I love him so much. He's a great character. I often think about before when I was talking about I forgot what character I was talking about. Oh, redemption. Um, people often bring up in the Avatar universe. People often in Avatar fandom talk about, oh, is this character worth redemption? Like, is Azula, is she deserving of redemption? And then I think to myself, like, I think no one is beyond redemption, and that's one of the reasons why you don't kill. Like, granted, there's terrible people out there in the world. There's terrible that it can never. There's a difference between not being able to be redeemed and being deserving of it. I think everyone deserves it
Everyone
because that's
deserves
what
the
the world.
opportunity to be
Yeah,
redeemed. Absolutely.
because to me, it's better for the world. Like if you could take a person and take them, give them opportunity to put something good into the world, that is ultimately better for the world. There is harmony to be had. To me, that's when I go to Batman and Superman, there's a reason why those characters don't kill. Is because like Batman wants all of his villains to be rehabilitated. Like he doesn't want to kill them. Like when some get out of jail, he's like, "Hey, I'll be looking at. I'm watching you. Like I hope you get better." Like Superman doesn't do it because Superman believes in second chances. Angus like those characters that no one is beyond a second chance, and I absolutely love that about Aang, and that's why he's at my number 4.
You and Aang have a complex relationship.
Yeah, I know.
Eh,
I love Aang.
Great,
I do. I
great,
really do. It's funny.
great
This next
choice.
character, this character, it's the opposite of that. But this character that I love is Avatar Kyoshi. Avatar Kyoshi is my number 3, and Kyoshi's just a BA. Like if it wasn't, she wouldn't be this high if it wasn't for her story because her story is just so good. It's like Kill Bill, this with Avatar. Like she goes from being a pretty weak bender to to Batman. Like, and that's funny. I just said Batman is. She's like a Batman who will kill every now and then. Like she doesn't. mind it.
Honestly,
She
it's a
she was
more
also
practical Batman. Like every once in a while, Batman would have to come to a place that's like it would be easier if I just killed this person, and then this is the parallel universe where he just pulls the trigger.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Like some of my favorite quiet moments in Avatar comes from Kyoshi, ironically enough. Like there's a moments with her and Rangi, or Rangi, sorry, Ranji.
We change every time.
Sorry,
I'm just gonna
I
say
know.
they're all right. All of them are
Yeah.
correct.
Um, she's such a more complex character than the shows depict her as. And man, shout out to FCE, the author of those books, and he just dimensionalized the crap out of Kyoshi. She's such an interesting character. Um, but I just love so much about her. Like I could read those novels all the time. She's so good. What can I say?
Hey, I'll say it for you, Chris, because my number three is Kyoshi. Kyoshi,
Wow.
I know, right? That's kind of wild. At some point here, we're gonna have a crossing. It's gonna happen soon, though, where it stops the parallel stop. Uh, Kyoshi is the type of avatar that I would want to be. And that's not to say that
Mm,
I would like want to kill people or whatever, but just like in the positions that she's put in, and trying to weigh her options, the mistakes that she makes, in the ways that she learns and progresses from them. Not saying I would have the capability to be that type of avatar, but it is the type of avatar I would strive to be, and I empathize so strongly. And I also, on the other hand, on the not relatable side, I love her tremendous feats of strength. Right, that's the kind of
yeah.
action movie avatar that my brain just makes my brain happy to watch or read or observe.
Yeah.
And I I wanted to put her higher, frankly. I couldn't, but I really wanted to. And that first Kyoshi novel in particular is my probably my favorite book, I suppose. She is like the definition in one character of all of the various things that I like about the Avatar universe, whether it's again the relatability, the mystical elements, the action, the difficult choices and growth. She's fantastic. She's my number three. I wish that there were 8 number one spots because she'd be one of them. But as it stands, she's my number three. Chris, my number two. I feel like this is where things. Well, no, it's not going to get that interesting yet. We're getting close though.
I'm very curious what your number two is.
Yes, my number two is Iroh for Iroh
Ooh,
reasons. I'm gonna guess, Chris, that Iroh is in
don't
one of your two
don't
final
guess.
spots. No, I'm gonna
Don't
guess that he's in one of your
don't
two
try to
final
guess.
spots, and so I'm not gonna say a ton because it's Iroh, and we'll talk about Iroh together when you get to Iroh. He's my number two. He's an amazing character. I debated on putting Iroh as my number one or my number two, and I thought about it for several minutes. I settled on number two. He brings me immense joy and thoughtfulness across all of his appearances in all of his various live action animated, um, what little I have of the comics that he's in. He brings me immense joy, and I will talk more about him if he comes up in your list. If that's my number two.
I wrote any. I don't even make my list,
He didn't
Sean.
make your top 12. That's outrageous. Outrageous. But I wrote two did. Here's my number two. I wrote two.
Man, if I had to, where would he? He'll probably be like
If we did a top 100, Iroh 2
25.
is going to be, yeah, I was going to say mid 20s. I was going to say mid 20s.
Ooh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
we're in the same ballpark. Chris, hit me with your number
Okay.
2 and then we'll talk honorable mentions.
My number. Oh wait, did you say your number two? Oh no, I'm sorry. Your
Yep,
number two's
I
Iroh.
wrote yep.
Like anyway,
3
I'm. Oh my
Kyoshi,
god.
2 Iroh. We're at a cutoff here where my top 3 could all be my favorites easily.
Yeah, yeah. My my number two is Korra. Mhm. It was a tough one between this and my number one. I love Avatar Korra. It's like she is the if Aang's story is the story of of oh my gosh, I forgot the word I was looking for. Not stubbornness, but something more good stuff of conviction. Aang's is a story of conviction and morality. Korra is a story of resilience. Like, and Korra is so resilient. Every single season, she is tested in a new way, almost wrongfully so. Like, Korra gets put through the freaking ringer. Like, first season, she gets her bending taken away. Second season, she gets the past lives ripped away from her. Third season, she gets paralyzed. Fourth season, she's dealing with PTSD. But it's a story of resilience. She comes back, sometimes not stronger, and again, along with character arcs not being a a straight line, strength coming back isn't a straight line. You just don't, when you get paralyzed, you just don't pop back and you're like boom there. When you get the poison out of you, you're just not back like that. Like Korra has to actively engage with her resilience. She has to actively grow and get better and get stronger. That never stops. Also, her character arc. I mentioned before. I think while Zuko's character arc, I think is probably one of the most impressive character arcs ever. One of the most, what is the best redemption arc. Korra's arc, I think, is harder to write because you don't see that many good guy stays a good guy character arc, and they feel like from beginning to end, that character feels like two different characters, and that's reflected in Korra saving Kuvira at the end of book 4. Like season 1 Korra, it's not saving Kuvira from a blast. A blast that could potentially take away her avatar state, take away her connection, take away her avatar powers. She's not going to threaten that to save a villain who is causing their own downfall. Um, because that no longer being the avatar no longer defines Korra as much as it did to begin the show with. Um, but she's grown so much to show empathy to others, to not be so brash. Sometimes though I do miss that that BA core just like I'm gonna beat you up and I'm gonna enjoy it. Sometimes I do miss that. I love that aspect of her character, but I love that growth that she had even more. And she's just a great character. I think. Yeah, I don't think she gets her proper due most of the time, but love Avatar Core.
She is a character that probably every person alive could benefit from just deliberating on her trials and her challenges and her approach. How do I want to word this? Because it's not like she's necessarily trying to grow as a person. She's usually just trying to like face the obstacles that are now put in front of her, which is kind of how real life works, right? You get past one thing, you deal with the
Yeah.
next thing. And I just every person could benefit from deliberating her upon her character for a time. Is that your number two?
Yep.
Are we at honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions.
Chris, the thing I wanted to do more than anything in the world is like way too high up in the list. Put live action Han. I didn't, but I wanted to. I wanted to be like number 3, live action Han. I didn't, but he's a honorable mention. No, realistically, live action Han. He's a mid 20s caliber kind of guy too.
Live
Um,
action Han.
where's that at for
Ah,
you?
man, I'll put live action Han. Did you say mid? Yeah, I'll put him in probably like 28, somewhere around there. So we're not too far off.
Right. If Iroh 2 is like maybe Iroh 2 is like lower 20s and then live action Han's upper 20s or something like that. That's believable to me. No,
It's funny. Cartoon Han would be like 130 or something, somewhere around there.
that guy hopes he makes our top 100 honorable
Yeah.
mentions, but he wouldn't. Chris,
No, I don't think he
oh,
would. Because like I said, I could probably find 100 characters in Avatar that I like,
I think we
and I don't
could.
like Cartoon Han.
Nope, not really. Although I can't help but think that Cartoon Han is probably more realistic to how that would have gone down, but whatever. That's not what we're talking about. Chris, Piandao is the perfect like wrapper on the Sokka character that I needed and I loved. I always have like sword fighting. I love that episode. It's what I needed for Sokka to be complete, and I know he's a very small character that it feels kind of silly to have him so high, but I think he would be in my teens or upper 20s. He's a great character that I'm really glad got included. Do you want to go back and forth, or you just want me to list a bunch?
Oh, oh no, you
However
can
you want
go.
to do it. I've got quite a few, but I'll try not to talk about the rest of them too much.
I'll go. Um, Lin Beifong is one of
Great.
my honorable mentions. I
Great.
love Lin Beifong. I feel like she is the like epitome of work life balance. She's a great mother, great leader. Because her decision, even though she didn't take over when she needed to stop Kuvira, but still,
Sure.
um, she's a great bender. Delivers one of the best fight scenes between her and Kuvira. Um, yeah, love Lin. Not Lin, Suyin. But speaking of which, Lin Beifong is also one of my favorite
Mhm.
characters. I was really sad not to have her in my, because I love her, and especially season one of Legend of Korra. She was so freaking good in season one.
She's so
And then season two,
cool.
she was an afterthought. Season three, she came back to be great, and season four, she was pretty good too. The season one Lin was just like they made a statue of season one Lin that I had. Like she was that cool of a character in season one.
She was a great like antithesis to Amon, just like the cool good guy that we needed.
Yeah.
Awesome. Chris, my next two favorite villains that didn't make the list, but just as easily could have, Jonju and Azula, I think are my next two favorite villains.
Mm,
Could have happily included both those in the top 10 or top 11 or 12 or whatever we landed on.
yeah.
11 officially.
Yeah, Janju, freaking great. Like I thought about it, but he didn't. I left my honorable mentions at like five, and so but he didn't make that, but he's still
Oh
great.
god, I have way more than 5 honorable mentions. Here, let me let me get through a couple more of mine just in case. Uh, Suki and Rangi were like my next two good guys that like I couldn't justify based on my feelings, but I do love them both, and in the specific roles they play are very important to me. And then in parallel to Sokka and Katara, Mako and Bolin also have a very special sibling relationship that I value very highly. It's just not quite as like it wasn't quite as relatable to me going through it, or didn't hit me as home quite as hard.
Mm,
But both great characters, and then Suyin and Lin both in my HMs as well. I even thought about going as far as like I love all of Tenzin's children, but in the end I couldn't settle on in particular. But all right, there's and then Yang Chen is not my number one. She's my HM. All right, that's my long list of HMs. You go ahead and finish yours, and then I've got one more to mention at the end.
all right. Zahir, freaking great character.
Great choice.
You mentioned him before. He's really great. Like man, I can hear his dialogue, and it's so freaking good. And he starts off so good out of the box. And also, I love the character design with him with long hair instead of the bald hair. He's not fun to cosplay as because it just looks like a bum in robes, and that is in character for him. Like, like I dressed up for Halloween one year with my daughter Korra, and like I didn't feel like he was here at all. I was like, all right, I'm wearing sweatpants and a long sleeve T-shirt, and so I don't know.
You go
Um,
house to house, and people just think you're a homeless person.
yeah, that fits in line with Zahir though. Like he
Yeah.
is not trying to put in. But anyway, and this was sad. Honorable mention that I didn't have higher. Sokka. I love Sokka. He, I did a video essay on Sokka in Zuko, and Sokka's character arc is great as well. And just didn't have him higher. I love him. He's hilarious. But yeah, yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
So I have my last one, but when I tell you my last one, it's kind of probably going to give away my number one pick. So I was going to save it for last until you're ready to roll.
Right.
Okay. My last honorable mention, and like the hardest thing, the hardest choice I had to make at all, is that my number 12, if we'd gone to 12, would have been Aang. They're just a
Ooh.
little. When I think back to.
Now yours is worse than I think mine.
There's
Like by
just.
having tough. Maybe not. Maybe it's both equally bad.
No, I mean, there's no
I'm
wrong,
not saying
there's
equal to
no,
bad. It's equal to good.
yeah,
Yeah, there's no wrong.
there's no right or
There's
wrong answers here. All it amounts to is that when I think back to the parts of the show that do or don't bring me joy, right? That make me not happy or like funny specifically, but the parts that bring me joy. There's just too many bits of Aang that like just make me mad sometimes. It's not. I still love Aang. He's still number 12, but there's just too many little things that, like, God, Aang, don't be dumb, or God, don't do, like, you know what I mean? And you are missing a little bit of character arc. You're mostly dealing with kind of an unchanging entity. You are kind of dealing with a character whose impact is mostly internal and not, he's not the quarterback that makes other people around him better necessarily. But I'm picking nits here. Like I said, number 12. I do love him. Or even number 11 if you want. And I really want to talk about Lauga because he didn't get enough love. But, uh,
had loud higher than I'm kidding. I don't know.
right, that part was like, I got to just talk about Lauga because nobody will think about him being so
Yeah.
high, but I want him. But no, Aang, I do love Aang. But even Aang as presented in Korra, like as a dad, you still get that vibe of like, Aang, I get it, but I don't like it, and there's just too many of those things. I pushed him down the list, but that also kind of gives
Yeah,
away.
I didn't realize that I love Aang more than you. So I feel like I am bad talking Aang more than you ever do, which is funny.
Yeah, well,
I say bad talking. I'm just talking up.
yeah, no, just well.
But,
And again, we're splitting a lot of fine hairs here, but the
yeah,
bottom line is
yeah.
that Aang's an amazing
Like
airbender and a pretty good avatar and an enjoyable character.
you just lost us. Like if anyone,
Just whatever three people were
somebody
left.
described him as a pretty good ass.
He's not, no,
Very
okay, no,
like
he's a great Avatar too, and I still listen. I enjoy the original Avatar: The Last Airbender series so much. Please do not take that as any sort of choice or indictment or anything like that. Aang's great, and I love him. I'm so sorry.
thing is,
Be true to
we
myself.
I wonder how many characters I'll get to. Like, how many characters you think you love in the Avatar universe? Like, we said we could probably think of 100 that we like.
Oh yeah,
How many
like
do
the
you think?
love word. Oh,
I mean, probably third.
if
Probably
they're in my list of
head.
honorable mentions, I really love at least their like presence. So I'm gonna say that, yeah, a
Yeah.
good 20 to 30 range is a really good ballpark that I think I would achieve.
Okay, that's fair.
Hmm? Yeah. Probably for different magnitude of reasons. You know what, Chris? What it really is that when you get into Korra, and I feel so bad for Boomy and Kaya, the way that they describe, and I empathize with Aang's cause, but that's to the point where like where Aang, like, sticking to the principles is having a real world impact on other choices that he made, with his wife to have more. But it just, there's certain
You
things
know
like
what I
that that
thought
just make
about?
me feel really bad.
There's two things. One thing I've mentioned before is that this is that perspective is from Kai and Bumi's perspective, which can be
As
uh,
kids, also,
biased.
kid
Yes, as
Kaya,
kids.
yep, 100%.
And also, I saw something that was like Boomy once said he's never wanted to be an airbender. And while he's probably lying when he said that, like what if he shared that with Aang, and Aang would be like, "Oh, I don't want to force this belief on him. Like I won't." And maybe the same to have Kai. I am possibly speculating wrongly on something. Um, but it might be some truth to that. Aang is like, well, I don't want to force my beliefs on you. Like I don't want to force you to go here and stuff with us and do this boring stuff.
I don't think you're
Um,
speculating wrongly. You're just
but
speculating out of the scope of anything that we could currently
yeah,
like disprove or prove or what. I don't
yeah.
think it's incorrect by any stretch. But
Thing is,
yeah,
so definitely wasn't perfect.
yeah,
Fine.
nope. Yeah. So that was a really tough choice to make. But now again, you've probably done some math. You probably figure out who our number ones are. Chris, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
My number one is Toph. She is the perfect side character. Toph is the perfect like third superstar in your NBA lineup. She's the perfect third star. She's probably your number two star, but probably slots into your number three place mentally. I love her growth that you see, and even the other stuff that you miss and whatnot is, or that we don't see like in between the seasons. Like there is growth. She does change and grow, but hers is
She
so
does.
hers is so choppy and blocky, and she feels like a really real person. That feels like how a human would grow and change and adapt to what they were going through at those various stages in their life. And I love the very different characters that you get. Like she is the same in both series, but not really. Like this is a very different person with very different life experiences that is teaching Korra, as opposed to this one over here that's teaching Aang. Um, I love the faults that she has and the way that she manages them. I don't always agree with, but they just feel so real and relatable. I love that she's the most powerful bender of my preferred element, right? So that's just like a
Oh,
very
yeah.
superficial connection.
Yeah.
Like I'm an earthbender, she's the best earthbender, and she's so much fun. Fun, funny, actiony, right? She brings it all to the table. And not good at emotions, which I tend to be okay with in my characters, not caring so much about the emotional stuff. So yeah, love
That's
Toph.
so funny.
Toph contributes more to my joy of this universe than any other one singular character, even if it's very close.
Mm, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's so funny. Me.
Never once on screen do I have to care about that much like potential Toph ships. There's like one time on screen where you kind of think about it, and then you don't have to care about it ever again. I'm like, yeah, that's my girl.
That's funny. Toph is like before. Toph is great. I love Toph. She just, she made my number 12.
Okay, she's your Aang.
I love. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah. Okay. Between us both, you had. If we had to average out our Toph and Egg scores, you drug like I drug Toph lower
Then then
than
I
yeah.
drug Aang because your Aang was already a little lower.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Uh.
Anyway,
Yeah.
people hate
All
us. We
right.
get it. It's fine.
Very subjective list. Like, like I could. It doesn't matter what list I see. I'm not gonna be like you're wrong. Like, like if we're talking about something like tangible, something I can measure, like strength of a character or something like that, I can be like, I don't think you're right there. Like someone was like, uh, someone I got a Twitter debate was something about Amon. Um, they're like, no, I think Amon would lose to Ozai, Iroh, so. I was like, Amon is the second most powerful person in the universe. It's not an avatar. Or well, he's the most powerful person in the universe. It's not an avatar. Like there's no one stronger. He would literally take those people's biddings away within like 20 seconds. Like that's not even I don't think that's up for debate. But favorite characters, there's no wrong answer. If someone was like, "Oh, my favorite character is Jet," I'd be like, "Cool, that's great."
I'm proud of you for your bravery. Jet would be my number 100. That'd be the cutoff of people that I feel like
Really?
I have to
Uh,
like.
oh, okay. My number one, which is not a surprise, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, is Iroh. Iroh he is, I think he has the best character arc and story, and a lot of it takes place before the show even starts. Although even though I love Iroh, I
We just
I
did that
fully
episode
not only
like,
admit,
what is that,
oh
like a
yeah,
month
what
and
was
a
that?
half ago, where we talked about sort of the
Uh,
true arc of Iroh, with the flaws and everything.
yeah.
Like we are appropriately critical of Iroh.
Yeah, like Iroh. One thing I love about the live action was that Earth Kingdom warrior being like, "You were a butcher." Like, yeah, Iroh killed people. Like, I'm sure Iroh, even if he didn't kill people, he led an army.
He
to take
contributed
over.
directly to the deaths.
he, he led an army to take over the world. People sometimes people get be like, oh well, what war crimes did Iroh commit? They were at war. What war crimes? Did I'm like, I think you're missing the point.
Yeah,
Like, stop trying to define what war crimes are. Which one thing
he
war crimes is something is.
war is the crime that we're trying to avoid as a general rule. He didn't
Yeah,
pull the
war.
trigger, but he provided all of the guns.
Yeah, people are like, well, even in the even Geneva Conventions, what war? I'm like, just morally, do you think Iroh leading an army to attack an innocent nation to take over their world was good of him? No, Iroh did bad stuff, and to dismiss his bad things, his bad atrocities, it is to diminish his character arc. Because there's, if you think what he did before wasn't that bad of a thing, then there's no character arc. I fully accept that what Iroh did before, he he was a product of his upbringing, absolutely, and his beliefs and stuff was still, and he was indoctrinated from in the Fire Nation, and he didn't grow out of that until he lost his son, and he changed his ways from there. Um, but he's such a great character. Of one, he's a warning of people like one thing I love about Iroh and Zuko's relationship is that Iroh is not only trying to save Zuko because he couldn't save Lieutenant, but he's trying to save Zuko from becoming Iroh. Like it took Iroh the kind of the selfish loss of a loved one for him to change. Like he didn't want Zuko to go through that same thing as well. Like Zuko changes in the most empathetic way. Like Zuko lived amongst the Earth Kingdom, saw what stuff they were going through. Um, it didn't take Zuko to lose a close loved one for him to change, and Iroh was a part of that. Love Iroh as a character. Like his wisdom that he gives everyone, his wisdom that he can apply to every single day life. I often think daily about some of his words of wisdom. Specifically, I usually always think about just if you look for the light, you often find it. If you look for the dark, that's all you'll ever see. Like that is something to live by being optimistic, about being um, one thing being the light in someone else's life. Iroh's other advice are great. I love his advice about if you ever, I'm paraphrasing, but if you are having a problem, sometimes the best way to solve your own problem is help someone else solve theirs. Freaking great message there. I love Iroh. He is one of the greatest characters probably in the show. Um, what else can I say about Iroh? I love him, even though like I said before, I will call out his bullcrap because it's part of his character arc. But I love Iroh. He's my favorite character, in one of my favorite universes that I love.
I think, I mean, the most impactful thing you said in all of that is that to ignore Iroh's atrocities is to miss one of the best parts of his overall character. Um, we critique appropriately, but point out here's my number two, he's your number one, easily the highest averaged character. Funny enough that Kyoshi would be our second highest by average. I don't know if it's funny,
Uh,
it's interesting, but yeah, absolutely.
well, you screwed up A. I'm kidding.
Iroh, Iroh is probably a massive reason why people go back to the show, I would imagine, if I had to guess. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, so
he's probably he's probably the heart. Hmm. I don't know if I'm kind of curious now. Like sometimes you'll watch a movie, but oh, that person was the heart of the movie. And it's not necessarily the main character or even the second main character, but he's probably the heart of the show.
I think that is a fair statement. Yeah, I think so. Um, yeah, Iroh, he's great. It's easy to see that he is the number one most beloved character in the show. I don't even know what else to say. Everybody's probably not everybody. Uh, it would probably be few and far between that somebody'd be like, no chance, doesn't belong in anybody's top ten. You know what I mean? Because Iroh,
Yeah.
he is the heart of the show. It feels like to some degree. So yeah, Chris, this was a really long episode. Any final thoughts?
It was long.
It
So,
was. It's very loud. We're running 90 minutes right now. Running 90
nice.
minutes.
Every now and then, it's kind of a long episode.
Yeah, it's
That's what
nice.
might be cool.
That just I'll say that's probably gonna make next week's episode short because I'm old.
You want to run through our list real quick, just to recap again?
Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. Do you want to do yours first?
Sure. Number 10, Tenzin. Number 9, Avatar Yang Chen. Number 8, Amon. Number 7, Azula. Number 6, Zuko. Number 5, Katara. Number 4, Aang. Number 3, Kyoshi. Number 2, Korra. And number 1, Iroh.
Excellent. I have number 11, Lauga, number 10, Zuko, number
Oh,
9.
dang it, I forgot we were doing 11.
Do
I'm
you,
sorry, 11.
I mean, can if you want. You don't
11
have
was
to.
wrong. 11 was wrong. I'm sorry. You start over.
Lauga, number 10, Zuko, number 9, Zahir, number 8, Amon, number 7, where did I leave? Tenzin, number 6, Korra, number 5, Sokka, number 4, Katara, number 3, Kyoshi, number 2, Iroh, number 1, live action Han. No, it's Toph, number 1. Just got to throw live
Are you
action Han on the
surprised
bone.
about any that didn't make my top 10?
Not in particular. It's one of those things, we've been talking about this for long enough. It's hard to be too surprising. Maybe by my own, as I really sat and weighed what I valued versus what I did not, was probably the
I
most
thought
surprising.
Bolin would be higher in yours.
Uh, Bolin, Bolin is great, of course, but I just thought, like, can I really have Bolin and Sokka? It's like, nah, and you wouldn't have Bolin without Sokka, frankly. So what it
Yeah.
amounted to is just the relationship and what that meant to me and my enjoyment of the show. That's all I got. All right. So that being said, thank you all for if you watched this whole thing. That's very impressive. With very impressive. Oh, where did our videos go? Oh, there we are. Sorry, no panic. We're still good. We're still good, and our microphones are still there. So thank you for
I say,
watching
Sean, I'm
and
not
listening.
re-recording this episode at least for another month. If you
No,
if
our
if you
videos just like kind of blinked gray for a minute. It was a little strange, but anyway, thanks for watching or listening. We appreciate you. Come back next week. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna do a what if next week. It'll be a good time. Thanks for watching, everybody.
what song was I thinking about today? I was like, oh.